Valentine can be so dark for some couples. The girl wanted to carry the bottle and break his head, so immediately she fell on the floor. He screamed. Who killed her husband on Valentine's Day in 1995? Hi, my name is Choma NG. Thank you for clicking. This is my Valentine's video special because I have been thinking of a Valentine's video or a Valentine's themed video to do for the past 2 days, but a lot of things have come up over the past since Valentine's Day. First of all, I watched a movie about 2 months ago relating to a crime that happened on Valentine's Day. It struck a chord for me, and during Valentine's Day this week, I came across a video, a very violent video, which I cannot post on YouTube because I do not support violence. So let me just give you a summary of what that video is about. It's about a couple, I guess, because the girl was wearing you know, Valentine's Day a lot of people wear red because red is the theme color for Valentine. So she wore a red dress. I'm guessing maybe she caught the guy doing something, but I know something happened between them and they were in a heated fight. So it started with her trying to grab the man's head. The head was in between her elbow, and if I was in between her arm like this, so she was trying to drag him close to the console where she could grab a bottle and break his head. So immediately she grabbed the bottle. Lucky enough, the guy was able to hold her leg and drag her, and she fell flat on the floor. No, she didn't fall flat on the floor. She fell and lost grip of the bottle, and eventually the guy now dragged her and she hit her head back on the floor. And I was just like, oh my god, this is a total mess. I was just thinking, what if this girl's head just broke open? And the funny part of this video is that there was a third person in the room on the bed. The environment looked like a hotel room, so the guy was on the bed filming it and sort of enjoying the chaos that was going on. So I think the only time the guy filming it found it very serious was when the girl wanted to carry the bottle and break his head. So immediately she fell on the floor. He screamed. He was trying to separate them, and I think they're speaking, I don't know, it sounded like Igbo at first, but the guy on the bed started speaking something that sounded like something from Benin Republic or Togo. I think it was a very native language. Immediately the guy screamed and he tried to separate it. That was where the video ended. And sometimes I'm just like, how do people get to this point of violence? How do couples get to this point of violence? Not that I don't know how people get to this point of violence, but I'm just like, how do you wait to the point, or how do you allow this to get to the point where you have to get physical? Because the truth is that in that video, if anything had happened or anything drastic had happened to any of them, the guy filming is also going to be involved. There is nothing like, I'm not I didn't do anything, no, I was just filming, no, they were the ones fighting. No, if one of them breaks their head, they're going to be a witness to it. If any of them dies in the course of that fight, that guy that is filming it is going to be in trouble. So I do not understand why Valentine can be so dark for some couples. This is a trigger for me because I actually watched a movie before that clip and it just sort of gave me a push to start this video. If you've watched Killer Sally is, I think, it's exclusive to Netflix, so if you haven't watched it, I advise you to go and watch it on Netflix. I think it came out like 2 to 3 months ago. Killer Sally is a true crime series telling a story about Sally McNeil, who killed her husband on Valentine's Day in 1995, Ray McNeil. This story is such a typical story of what most Nigerian women are going through, basically, even around the world. I'm very sure, because this is actually an American couple. Let me just give you a visual representation of what Sally McNeil looks like. She's a wrestler, she was in the military, and she's a bodybuilder. So imagine when a bodybuilder, a female bodybuilder, is claiming that she was she's a battered woman or a victim of domestic violence in her marriage. First of all, if you bring this to court, everyone is going to be looking at you like, how does a woman looking like this claimed to be going through or suffering from domestic violence in her marriage. Everyone expects that the reason why women go through domestic violence is because they are not strong enough, or they can't physically fight back, because most times men are usually stronger than women. But in this case, from the story given, all the facts point to really show that she was actually a victim of domestic violence. Okay, so let me give you a summary of what the film is about. So if you haven't watched the movie, this is sort of a spoiler. So Sally McNeil is a bodybuilder. She was also a wrestler as well, and she was once married before to someone she met in the military as well. And the marriage ended, I think, 2 years. She had 2 kids out of the marriage, and she filed for a divorce. After the marriage was dissolved, she moved to another location and continued her life there. So in the course of her bodybuilding and her career, she met Ray McNeil. It was lost at first sight, and they got married 2 months after they met. So according to her story, she said that she started experiencing domestic violence in her marriage just 3 days after their marriage. It started with choking to beating. The husband, as Ray McNeil, was also abusing her kids, beating them, or beating one of them and making the other person watch. So this continued for a long time. I think they married in the year 1984 or 85, I'm not too sure. And this went on for a long time till Sally chose to end it this way by killing her husband, Ray McNeil. She claimed that Ray McNeil was trying to choke her, and she got herself out of the situation and went into the room to get a shotgun and aimed it at him and told him not to come closer. And he tried to come close, and she shot the first time and shot the second time in his face. And immediately she called 911 and reported the case and said that she just shot her husband out of self-defense. Actually, this story is very, 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 very provocative if you watch it, because during the course of her telling the story, you could have seen so many instances where she could have just, gotten out of the marriage or gotten out of the relationship, because the abuse didn't just end with her. It continued with the kids as well. So something that has to do with your kids can be really, 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 really painful. So I don't even know, even if you don't love yourself that much, how much more your kids. There were so many times she could have just left. And she gave instances of where Ray McNeil, that's her husband, was also having extramarital affairs. There are times where she would have to call the other woman and threaten her not to come close to her husband. She also claimed that there was one that was at the gym with him all the time, and one of these days she just called and threatened her never to come close to her husband if she tries it, that she's going to beat the shit out of her. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So fast forward to after killing her husband, this case went to court. And trust me, she didn't have a chance. First of all, the lawyer that defended her case had to make her look more feminine to appeal to the jury and in the court. Because if you see her, I think I'm going to put snippets of I'm going to put screenshots or pictures of her or how she looks like. A woman that is well built, a woman that is a bodybuilder, will be expecting someone like that to be able to defend herself at any time in her life. Like, every woman, most times they see women as feeble, tiny, very soft, but she was built and all of that. So imagine a person in court and your lawyer trying to defend you that you're I'm sorry, this is actually not supposed to be funny, but I'm just imagining how the court would have been at the time. You're seeing a well-built woman with muscles, strong, everything, her vein, everything is out, and your lawyer is defending you, saying that you are a victim of domestic violence. At the time, it was even termed battered woman. So battered woman was more of a visual representation of what women go through in abusive homes. So when you hear battered woman, you're expecting that, oh, your husband beats you black and blue, and you're looking at this well-built woman and she's looking so big and so buff, and you're like, okay, how would someone beat up this woman? It was a very hard case. I'm sure the lawyer would have had a hard time trying to defend her case. To make matters worse, most of her friends were not willing or did not agree to take the stand to defend her. Her colleagues in the bodybuilding community all backed out and defended and stood behind Ray McNeil, because Ray McNeil was also a bodybuilder as well, so it was sort of a division for her. The only people that sort of came through for her was the wrestling community, who stood up for her, and I think they paid for her bail as well. And the people that, there were only 2 or 3 people that came to defend her in court. There were also evidences to show that she had threatened people to beat them up and all that. There are also cases of where she had beaten one of her neighbors who had, you know, who had hit her kid. So there were so many cases to prove that this woman was also violent as well. So when a violent woman is coming out to say that she was battered by her husband, that's not going to show a very victim victim visualization of the accused here. So it was such a sad turn. But at the end of all the court, at the end of the court case, she was given 19 years to life for second-degree murder. So in 1996 till 2020, that was when she was released. That's like a whole generation of things she has missed out, or a lot of events that she has missed out with her kids, because her kids still came to see her in jail for some time, but according to the story they said they had to stop visiting her in jail because they were just tired of explaining to people why their mother is in jail and all of that. Seeing the stories now and how people react to leading up to the day of Valentine, and I'm just like, do people really wish they were in a relationship? I mean, in a wholesome relationship, or people just want to be in a relationship because of the nice things they are seeing, the gifts, the money, the nice pictures, the nice videos of Valentine's. Everyone saying, oh, today now the day we single would pay me pass. And I'm just like, do people really think of the entirety of what marriage and relationship is really about? Because people really just focus on the nice things. If you see these people outside, you'll be like, oh, they look so cute, they look so beautiful together, but do you really know? Would anyone have predicted that this would have been their outcome on Valentine's Day? Would you? Because you probably would have seen pictures on social media, at least for the one I saw recently, because 1995 there was nothing like social media, at least for us in Nigeria. But do people really know what they're asking for? I want to ask people that are actually watching this video, like, what are the tips? What advice would you give for people who are willing or who want to get into marriage or get into relationship with someone? The things to look out for in choosing the right partner, and the tips to spot if someone can be violent on the long run. Because according to what people say, they say they never expected or they never saw the signs, which I really beg to differ, because I don't think people can really hide their character for so long, or maybe because in the case of Sally McNeil, they only got married after 2 months, which would be really difficult for you to really get how someone behaves, or really understand how people, or how he would have turned out. So what are the tips you think people should look out for, or what are the signs people should look out for, and what are other things someone should consider when choosing the right partner, either in a relationship or marriage? I also want to highlight some part of the docu-series of Killer Sally. Looking at it from the children's perspective, they also said they experienced the abuse as well. The mother went through, sort of corroborating what she's narrating in court as well. And the kids also received their fair share of abuse from Ray McNeil. That's her husband, that's the husband. He would beat one of the child and make the other child watch. The boy especially saw him as the devil. As they've grown up, from the story they narrated, they're sort of repeating the mother's life right now, because they all I think they both joined military as well. The daughter also got married, and her marriage was abusive as well. And she also stated that she never understood why her mother never left an abusive marriage until she got married herself. and saw how difficult it was for her to leave the abusive marriage. She had a child out of the marriage, but right now she's out of it. She also said that her life has a more positive outlook, and she's just blessed with her daughter and focusing her her life and her time to her daughter. The son as well also said I think he suffered PTSD and also went for therapy as well, and he said he was married to the best woman they can be, and he was not just the best husband. He didn't specify what he did in the marriage. The lady decided to leave, and he had to go for therapy and just seek help with what he has been through all his life. So I'm just trying to point out how the decision of the mother has sort of trickled down onto the kids, or your friends, your family, everyone receiving the pain of your choices as well. So sometimes I feel people don't really, even me inclusive, don't really think of the entirety of the choices we make. We feel, oh, it's my choice, I can just decide what I want to do in my life, but you really don't think of the repercussions of the choices you make or you've made. In Kayla Sally's case, I'm sure she, at that point where she was shot the gun, she was not thinking of how this decision was going to affect her kids, how it's going to even affect her as well. Though the way they ended the story, it seemed like, oh, she was now living happily ever after, but the truth of the matter is, these things that has happened in your life has caused a strain, has caused a dent, has caused a wound like that can never go away. So it's going to take time for you to build back all the times you've lost with your kids, all the times you've lost with your friends. Your friends have moved on. We're talking about how many years here? 25 years in prison. Like, people will move on. So you're building your life again. And she actually got remarried. And when she, according to the story, she said when she was about to get married, people were dissuading the man from getting married to her because of her past, in terms of killing her husband. Why I'm actually doing this video is actually to just give clarity to how intentional we should be in terms of our choices when it comes to partnership, relationships, marriage, because those choices can actually destroy you or actually make your life so much better. So if you have tips on how people should choose their spouses, or if you have tips to point out signs to know if someone can be violent or if this person is right for you, please drop in the comment section and tell me what you think. I'll also be in the comment section also dropping my 2 cents as well, because we are all here to learn. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Also like my video and share with your family and friends, share on your platform, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.